This brew day is already starting off with some issues. As you can see, one of the rollers is hesitating. I'm going to still grind. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to have to contact SS Brew Tech about that. Alright, I've just begun the mashing process. I'm going to turn down to 152. We're at 158.6. Alright, let's mash in. I already know that this mash is going to be very thin because of the nature of the brew. That being no sparge water. More so a test. I just wanted to see if I could do no sparge, what my numbers would look like. I do think I may be sparging at some point. I have sparge water ready to go on hand in the event that I need it. 157.5. $157. $156.9. I will say this unit seems to be holding temp better at the higher volume of water. I'm not going down nearly as fast as I thought I would. 156.3. Go all in. Okay, sitting at 156.9 on the wrapped, 153.7 on the build-in. Let's see, this is very, very thin. I shouldn't have an issue with a stuck mash today. Okay, 153.2 to 153.1 to 152.4. I'm going to let this sit for 10 minutes, and then we'll recirculate. What's going on, guys? Nick Lessigore here, Exit 12 Homebrew in the house. Back again with another brew day, and I'm doing this brew day. I'm doing the honey blonde ale. You've seen this brew day a million times, so I'm not so concerned with the beer, but with some processes I'm changing. I do, however, think it's important to mention I got fresh honey from the same neighbor that I give my grains to, and she gives me her eggs from her chickens. She does her own honey, so we're going to be using her honey, which is going to be really cool. So the original plan was to try this beer without sparging. So the idea was to mash in with probably, in hindsight, about 10 gallons or so. And it's a 5-gallon batch, so the idea was to not have to sparge. But I'm realizing, actually just realized as I walked up to the camera and read read the Brewfather software, read the recipe, that I turned off sparging, but the software didn't adjust for no sparge. For some reason, this whole time, it didn't really register to me until this very moment. So I mashed in with a little over, pretty much 29 liters of water. Thankfully, I did have the Brew all set up. It does have about 9 gallons of sparge water in it, mainly because I was drinking and watching sports and completely forgot about it. But I have more than enough RO water. I definitely am going to be sparging. So the idea of this video was initially to show you what my process might be if I was doing a no sparge, but that isn't going to happen. Now, I could probably take water and dump it in. I could probably take the sparge water and dump it in, but at 170 degrees, it will almost certainly bump up my mash temp, and I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to, I don't think. I think I'm going to mash in as normal. I'm going to go back into my software, turn on the sparge option, and see how much water I need to sparge with. Point is, I have enough sparge water anyway. Anyway, so this video is taking a little bit of a turn. I was gonna brew and show you the methodology of no sparging, but I'm definitely sparging. I didn't even think through it. 28 liters of water, which is a little over 7.5 gallons. I'm probably gonna lose 2.5 gallons of water to absorption. There's no way I would have enough in the fermenter. Oh boy, it's been a week. It's been a busy few weeks. But anyway, so I'm going to be doing the Honey Blondale today. My goal is to have 3 beers on tap when Kurt comes to visit Fermentation Adventures. He's going to come in mid-May. We're going to do a collab brew day, and I'm going to have him over for the weekend, which I will almost certainly be recording. So, I got some things cleaning in the sink. I'm cleaning some kegs. The fermentation keg that I have, the Torpedo, as well as my Firmzilla. So, either way, it's going to be a fun day of brewing, so stick around. Well, this is a rarity. I just started the 60-minute mash timer after taking pH. pH is reading now. And we're at 152.4 to 151.7. It was just at 152.4 to 152. And before I turned the camera on, the wrap temp probe and the built-in were at the same exact temperature. It was like 152.2. I wish I got it in time, but so far so good as I start the 60-minute timer. So I'm letting this drain off a little bit before I start sparging to see where I'm at. And surprisingly, I'm sitting at just under 29, 28, 27, 26, just under 26 liters, which is a little bit under 7 gallons. So starting with 7.6 gallons of water, that's actually a really good return. I need to get up to 8 gallons, 8-gallon pre-boil, which is something I just had to adjust in my recipe. Oh boy, I had to adjust it because last year I had different pre-boil volumes. Always learning, just need to remember to apply that learning. So we're gonna sparge to get to 8 gallons. Okay, we got the hood vent on, pretty much at a boil. I'm gonna take off a little sample. And now we're gonna add our 60-minute addition. There we go. Boil timer is going. We're off and running. I'm gonna throw this in the freezer for 7 minutes and then we'll take a pre-boil. My first runnings gravity was 0.35, which is low. That's very low. I'm supposed to be at 0.34 for my pre-boil. What I think may have happened is usually I take my sample while it's recirculating near the end of the 170-minute, 10-minute mash out. I didn't. I actually took it while I was basically sparging, before I sparged. So I was taking it from the top. I did try to mix it up. My thinking is I probably didn't mix it up well enough, but we'll see based on what this pre-boil is, because I did add over 5 gallons, or 5 liters, I should say. I did add over 5 liters of sparge water to get to the 8-gallon pre-boil. Okay, took a pre-boil gravity. Kaboom, 0.34 on the nose, nailed it. Now, what I think happened with my first runnings is that, because I put in over 5 liters, which isn't that much. I usually put in a lot more than that, a decent amount more of sparge water, which will drive it down a little bit. But because I'm using more, I used more strike water. I didn't have to use as much sparge water. What I think happened was, even though I mixed it while I was filtering off the first runnings, what I usually do is I take my first runnings gravity as it's recirculating. I did not do that this time. I took it at the very top. And so what I think happened was I didn't mix well enough. 0.34 is exactly what I was shooting for. So I nailed it on the nose, which I'm very excited about. Pretty much 8 gallons, 7.95, 8-gallon pre-boil. So we should, fingers crossed, end up with 6 gallons in the fermenter, and hopefully 0.46 being our OG. Hopefully we hit that. So we're knee deep in the middle of the boil now. And I thought I'd mention, I'm brewing, as I mentioned, for the second time in 2 weeks, but I'm also cooking. A lot of home brewers are talented cooks. Really enjoy being in the kitchen, cooking with things. Usually I cook with beer. But I'm cooking dinner tonight on the smoker. I got 2 racks of ribs on the smoker, and I'm also gonna do some chicken wings. Shout out to Big Dog Brewing, hooking me up with his smoked chicken wing recipe. Smoke them for basically an hour, maybe 2. You wanna get as close as you can without going over to that, 160, 165 degree temp. And then, because I don't care for the smoked chicken wing kind of texture, that kind of leathery texture. Big Dog, Dave Big Dog, also fries his. So I'm gonna be frying mine as well, something I really find fun. So let's check out, let's get a rib update. Okay, I'll have to be a little quick because it is raining out. Here we go. I got one that is binded with mustard, the other olive oil, and I got 2 different rubs on there. They're cooking away. I have the Pit Boss. It's like the Pro XL 850 something or other. And the wings will be going on shortly after the brew day. And I found this at Tractor Supply Company. It's $10 a bag. 40-pound bags. I just found it. That's a slow smoked blend. So we'll see how these turn out. We are going to shut off the heater, add in our Eureka hops. Boom. Now we're going to turn on the chiller. Cannot be putting hot water like that down the sink. Totally forgot. Boy, out of practice, I guess. Okay, we're sitting at 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25 and a half liters before we cool down. Okay, glad I remembered. Hopefully the water didn't ruin my pump. We'll see. But we're cooling down now. Okay, it's time for us to transfer this beer. We are sitting at 23 liters at 68 degrees. Now, what ended up happening was the wrapped temperature probes that come with that temperature gauge, I bought 2 new ones because the one that I had, the temperature was off. Well, I'm cooling down and I'm noticing that the system is reading 30 degrees cooler than the wrap temperature probe was. Turns out I went and grabbed a thermometer that I use to smoke food. Turns out, not only was I bought 2 replacement probes. Both of them are reading incorrectly. So that's going to be a call to More Beer. I bought those temperature probes off More Beer about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And hopefully they'll replace them. But the second one has been unused. So I don't know how that happened. I don't know how it's reading incorrectly. Both probes are reading 80 degrees. The system was reading 52 degrees. And my meat thermometer was reading 52 degrees. And feeling it, it felt closer to 52 than 86. All right, let's transfer. Transferring at 68.6, 23 liters. About halfway through, I let this sit for about 15 minutes. I had to go check on the ribs. Those are almost ready to be wrapped and hit with barbecue sauce. I'm going to transfer this. I'm going to throw it in the fermenter. I'm going to take a sample for gravity, looking for 046, and then I'm going to go up and wrap the ribs. I'm sitting at like 155. I wrap my ribs at 160. Cook to 200. I'll turn it up a little bit, cook to 200, and then I'll let it rest. I cleaned and sanitized my Firmzilla. And so now we're in the middle of transferring, looking for 6 gallons to get a full 5-gallon keg. It's looking pretty nice. I'm excited. As I'm coming up to 4.5 gallons, just wanted to show how clear it's pulling now. It was pulling a lot of that protein in the beginning. You kind of saw it look like a Hefeweizen. But now it's pulling very, very clear. So looking to get to 6 gallons. I finished at 1.040, so quite a bit under what my OG is supposed to be. I was shooting for 0.46. I just realized also that I had my keg fermenting profile on Brewfather for this beer. It's been a week, as I said. Just happy to be getting this in the fermenter. Hopefully this will finish in that 5.1, 5.2% range, but my beers have not been attenuating very high lately, so we'll just have to let it ferment and see what happens. Coming up on 5.25 gallons. Now usually I add the honey in while I'm transferring. I forgot. It's been an uncharacteristically forgetful brew day for your boy. But good news is the beer is not ruined. I'm gonna add it in now, going in. I also usually heat it up because the honey is usually very, very hard. At least like the store-bought honeys, maybe because there's preservatives in it or whatever, but all of this honey's coming right out, which is great. Nom, nom, nom. I'm gonna pitch the yeast and call this brew day a day. I still have to go upstairs and wrap my ribs. Here we go, get it all in. The honey itself, I have found, doesn't really raise the OG, maybe a point. Not enough to make a difference. It could be that I'm using so little with 8 ounces, or it could be that there isn't that much fermentable sugar. I don't know. I'd imagine that there is, but I've always been able to get a nice little honey hit, even though I'm fermenting. You would think it might ferment out, but so far so good. Okay, here we go.